You're listening to Power Talks with Beth Ann and Melody Cedarstrom in the morning, where talk is real. Truth is in the talk. There's power, absolute power in truth, and so we named the show Power Talks, and we welcome you this morning. Good morning, Melody. Let's see what we can do to empower everyone with a little truth. How are you doing this morning?
Just fantastic. Good morning to you, and good morning to the listeners. And I hope everyone on the East Coast will stay safe today with Hurricane Jose. Of course, we're just getting a little bit of riptides and rain and some wind and so forth, and as it heads further north into the New England area. But I guess that Hurricane Maria is that was the fastest Hurricane 1 to Hurricane 5 that I can ever recall. I mean, it was like within 24 hours it strengthened to a 5 and is barreling down on Puerto Rico. I guess it should be there shortly, or, the next 24 hours anyway. So,
and it's their second hit in a month's time. It's,
Well, fingers crossed that it doesn't follow. I don't know where I want it to go, but I don't want it. It can follow the path of Jose, off the coast, north, to where we just get some winds and some rain and some beach erosion, and that way it doesn't affect the continental U.S. But so we'll have to see what follows for the rest of. When is this season over? This hurricane season, when is it over, Beth?
I don't know. We don't have those here in Missouri. We just get the after effects with some rain, and we're needing rain pretty bad here. Now, it's cloudy today. I don't know if there's much of a chance of rain or not, but we had a little rain on Sunday. Not enough. We need some rain. We had some cooler weather here a little over a week ago, kind of like we were going into fall. I love fall. It's just too short. It's way too short for me. It's going into winter, and I'm not a winter lover. But so global warming is good with me. But anyway, it's
some good news. I did see where Montana was getting some snow and some good. Moisture, so it's helping with the fires that they have up there in the Missoula area and so forth. I read that those fires burned, over 160,000 acres.
It's astronomical, and there's nothing to stop them. I mean, they just go, and that's a whole show all of its own, talking about those fires out there. And I noticed they're not getting much publicity.
I'm not getting
it's all the hurricanes and the floods, and these fires burn so hot, it actually sterilizes the ground, and it's very serious, very serious. And anyway, we had hit 90 degrees on Saturday, and so it was hot here. We had that I guess maybe that was our Indian summer. I don't know. I'm ready for it to be a little cooler, but I'm not ready for winter. You said you had some history for us today. What you got?
Yes, I do. Well, this isn't a very nice history. It's a modern, it's a 1957. Where Nevada was the first site of the first ever underground nuclear explosion. It was on this day in 1957. The United States detonates a 1.7 kiloton nuclear weapon in an underground tunnel at the Nevada test site. 1,375 square mile research center that was located about 65 miles north of Las Vegas. The test, it was known as Rainier. Now, I know Buick used to have an SUV named Rainier. I had no idea that it was named after this nuclear explosion. But the test, known as Rainier, was the first fully contained underground detonation, and they say it produced no radioactive fallout. A modified W-25 warhead weighing 218 pounds, measuring 25.7 inches in diameter and 17.4 inches in length, was used for the test. Rainier was part of a series of 29 nuclear weapons and nuclear weapons safety tests known as Operation Plum Bob that were conducted at the NTS, which is the Nevada test site, between May 28, 1957 and October 7, 1957.
Now, is Rainier, is that named after the volcano, Mount Rainier?
Well, it doesn't really.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
It doesn't really say. It just says the Rainier was the name. the test. It was known as the Rainier. So I would have to think so, considering the after effect and so forth. In December 1941, the U.S. government committed to building the first world's nuclear weapon when President Roosevelt authorized $2 billion. That was a lot of money in that time, $2 billion in funding for what came to be known as the Manhattan Project. The first nuclear weapon took place on July 16, 1945, at the Trinity site near Alamogordo, New Mexico. And I think we can all know what follows afterwards. On August 9th, or I should say on August 6th, 1945, the U.S. war at Japan dropped the atomic bomb named Little Boy over Hiroshima, Japan. 3 days later, August 9th, a nuclear bomb called Fat Man was dropped on Nagasaki. 200,000 people, according to some estimates, and I would really think there was probably more than 200,000 people. I mean, I don't think they kept as good of track of people in those days, and so I would have to think there was more, but government estimates are 200,000 people were killed in the attacks on the two cities. And now today we have Mr. Trump speaking in the United Nations, and they will be discussing North Korea and their nuclear threat to us.
And there's also a possibility, rumors, that he might pull out of the Iran deal. And that could cause a domino effect as well, because we know Iran's being propped up with nuclear weapons as well. So,
well, I didn't understand, because I talked about it a little bit about this last week on the 4 o'clock program. And, Iran has to do certain things. They have to comply to certain things in the agreement. And Mr. Trump confirmed that they are doing what they need to do. But then in the next paragraph, he also has to commit this compliance with Iran, and he says he might not do that. So if Iran is doing what they're supposed to do in an agreement, I'm not so sure he can get much support from anyone if he just lets it go. I don't know, but so he was conflicting on two different things. He was conflicting. 1 minute he agrees and says, yes, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and, everything's okay. On the other hand, I'm not going to. We'll have to see.
Well, it's interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens this week. It's I don't know. I feel like we're just on this edge looming of war, and that's kind of scary. I know we've lived through the Vietnam War, which wasn't necessarily, it should have been, but I was younger. I wasn't, it wasn't as scary to me because it was somewhere else. I don't think the next war is going to be somewhere else.
I agree. Well, we're already having a war within the states.
Absolutely.
We're already having a war here, so we'll see.
I'm so. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was just going to say we'll see how Mr. Trump does, President Trump does, in his first address to the United Nations. He's supposed to lay out, of course, the America First principles, nationalism, his view on nationalism and sovereignty. He's supposed to call for more burden sharing and cooperation among countries on issues, including the fight on terrorism, as we mentioned, North Korea and Iran. He's also supposed to mention reforms at the UN and the role countries play. And so I'm anxious to hear it.
Well, I am too, and I was going to say, we talked about, you mentioned that we have wars within, and we've seen what's been going on in St. Louis. We've seen the riots at some of these colleges and these universities, Berkeley being one that we've, it's been going on for a while. MU has had its share, and this is coming from Georgia Tech, and the students rioted when an officer shot and killed a student who was coming at them with a knife and saying, "Shoot me, shoot me." Guess he didn't mean it. I don't mean to be facetious or funny. It's not funny. But now they're rioting and they're carrying on, and I'm thinking, what is college for? You know, do these kids do they have too much time on their hands? They don't have enough study time, enough to study, enough to do, that they're out there rioting? I mean, their parents are paying big bucks for them. College is not cheap. And they're paying big bucks for these kids to go to college. And here this student is, they've got it on video. I didn't watch the video. His name is Scout Schultz. He was 21. He's walking. I said running. He's walking toward the officers carrying the knife and shouting, "Shoot me." And I guess the officers told him to stop, and he refused to stop, and they shot him, and he died from that wound. Now, I don't think that was necessary, but I don't know what size of knife it was, what the incident was. I didn't watch the video.
Did you say
but why
was
he
him?
Doing it in the first place? Huh?
Did you say they killed him?
Yes. Yes. He was coming at them with a knife. Now, he wasn't running. It says he was walking, and he was yelling, "Shoot me." And the police ultimately shot. They shot him once. The student refused to heed the police orders to stop. And this resulted in his death when he got shot. And video from the scene, it says, reveals that the campus has descended into an absolute chaos with rioters. They torched the police cars, at least one, and others swarming around and attacking police officers. Why they had to shoot this guy, I don't know, or at least, you know, but I'm thinking, you know, these riots on these campuses kind of sounds like the 60s. I mean, they're getting out of hand. Why was the student doing this? What was his problem? Was he mentally ill?
Probably
was he trying
drugs.
to provoke?
I think it's probably drugs.
I mean, what's going
Alcohol.
on with these kids?
I don't know. They certainly are fired. Well, you know what? They don't have enough to do.
That's what I said.
Know,
they have got enough to do.
They don't have enough to
complained about the young boy mowing the yard. Maybe these guys need to be mowing the campus.
Out there mowing the grass.
They need to mow the campus
Well, you know what?
yard.
Their whole life is children. You know, parents always try to do the best that they can for their children. I'm not a mother, but just from my observations, you want to make their life easier and easier, and I don't think they have the chores and the responsibilities that they once had. I mean, certainly, yes, there's families out there that still, follow through on that. But a lot of these kids are just downright spoiled. And plus,
they really
get
are privileged.
No, they really are privileged, and it's not white
privilege. Really are privileged.
It's youth privilege, but they've been conditioned on all these games, and there's, and I do believe there's a major. They deal with violence from
a lack of reality
from 8 years old. They're killing people on their little games, and that's not real. That's not reality. You kill somebody, they come back to life, and I think this is all a conditioning of the youth that we have today, and it does affect them mentally, and you add a few drugs and alcohol in there with them already being a little unstable, plus you throw in all their other mental pharmaceuticals that they get, and I mean, whew.
Well, they've never had to do anything. They didn't have, I talked about the lawn mowing yesterday, and I kind of went off on my kids doing that, and they had paper routes. I got scolded. One of my boys tweeted me, said, "Mom, you had two sons with a paper route." Well, I forgot the oldest boy had the paper route as well as the second boy. But had to call Mom out on it. But they did have chores, and they had lists, and they had things they had to do. In fact, one of my sons now, he refuses. He says, "You don't need to make me a list. I know what needs to be done." I guess I listed him to death. I hear the music. We're going into a break. We want you to join us at 717-300-1218. This is Power Talks. We believe there's power in the truth, and we want to give you an opportunity to talk. It's 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually, there is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. And we kind of chuckle during commercial breaks. I'm always going to rat you out. You know that, right, Melody?
Well, I'm going to...
We both get started pretty early in the morning, and we come in here, and we kind of have to wake each other up. And she was talking about how tired she was, and I said, yeah, I didn't get a whole lot of... Usually I take the weekend to catch up with my sleep, and I didn't get to do that this weekend. I was running all weekend, and so
that's right, the turkey and ham, right?
Yeah, the turkey and ham.
I just think that's so cute. What do the cows and the chickens think? Do they get any publicity at all?
Hey, they're not making the industry here in town. I'm going to have to send you a picture of a ham and turkey festival, and you're going to have to come out here. You know, I was thinking if we'd have had brochures, we could have done that. We could have had the brochures here on my table and passed those out for your gold and silver, for discount gold and silver trading. And I should have done that for some other people that support and help, and regular guests, even if they're not financial helps on CSC Talk Radio. But it was, I know everybody thinks it's pretty hickish, the ham and turkey.
I think it's...
They take the big bales, and they wrap one of them up in white, and they put a fan feather on the back of it, and they've got the front, and it looks like a turkey. And I'll have to send you a picture of that. And then they take the big bale, and they dress it up, and they put the coiled tail on it, and a little cone for a nose, and make it look like a pig, look like the ham, you know. And then they have the little bitty round bales beside it, like it's sucking on its mama. It's got the little baby pigs. And, they have a parade and everything. They have a parade.
That just so impressed me. I will make it out next year for your
Okay.
ham
It's the third
turkey,
weekend. It's the third Saturday in September every year.
I will put that on my calendar. And we can do the show live from the...
On Friday, we could do this show live right here. Yeah,
from the pagan church. But anyway, moving on. How about the phone number, Beth? What number do folks have to give us a call?
To give us a call and talk to us right here, right now, is 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And
I've been getting mail for Power Talks, P.O. Box 276, Berlin, Maryland, 21811. I want to thank you for the letters that I have received already. P.O. Box 276, Berlin, Maryland, 21811. We love your input. We love your encouragement. We love hearing from you. So, because hearing from you makes us better at what we do. So we can bring you what you want to hear, and you listeners, you keep us on our toes. When we say something dumb, you tell us, and when we say something smart, you tell us. So,
well, and conversation is about sharing and learning. So every now and then I bring up on CSC, I bring up it's Common Sense Conversations. It stands for Common Sense Coalition, but it really is Common Sense Conversations. And because I learn from my listeners, I do. And they do prop us up every now and then. They give us that booster shot in the arm, because when you're sitting here and you're reading this news day in and day out, and you watch the news all evening long, it gets a little discouraging, and we're not here to be discouraging. We're here to be encouraging, because even in the darkest hour, there's that light at the end of the tunnel, and we got to really search for that light.
Yes, we do.
And our listeners are that light many days.
And I'm going to tell you what I like that's so refreshing about our program is I get to talk about anything I want. The 4 o'clock program, is based on finances. And that's all we talk about. We'll go into politics and so forth. We'll go into various areas that also affect your finances. It all comes back to the dollar. It all comes back to gold and silver. You can bring me any article. You can bring me an article about the Ham and Turkey Festival, and I can tell you why you need to own gold and silver. Because it all comes there. It's all financial. It's money. It's this country. And so 4 o'clock, that's what we talk about, so it's refreshing to do other things here. And I also like to bring those reports, those financial reports, to this program, because it is important to you, though. It is important that you get prepared financially. And we appreciate you supporting Discount Gold and Silver Trading, because without that support, we can't do these programs. It is really as simple as that. The monies, I don't do advertising. We'll run advertising, but we don't get money from it. So all the money that comes from paying all the various programs that we support all comes from the purchasing of gold and silver. So when you buy gold and silver from Discount Gold and Silver, a large part of the profit goes right back into education and spreading the word. And helping other people learn what they need to do to protect themselves. So 1-800-375-4188 is the phone number for Discount Gold and Silver. That's 1-800-375-4188. Give them a call, see what specials we have running. We always do. Our prices are very competitive. We have great service and competitive pricing. So bad.
And you can go to the website, dgscoins.com. That's dgscoins.com. She has a newsletter there that's got all kinds of information on it that will really be beneficial to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And speaking of finances, I got 2 reports here. One from Toys R Us. I think everybody knows about Toys R Us. You'd think they're in their heyday. You didn't think they'd ever have to file for bankruptcy protection, but they are. They filed for this bankruptcy protection late yesterday. And again, this is the latest sign of the turmoil that the retail industry is caught in with the online shopping and, your discount chains like Walmart and Amazon and so forth. Amazon is discount and online. But this Chapter 11 filing is among the largest ever by a specialty retailer. It has 1,600 stores and about 64,000 employees. And this comes it's interesting, the timing, because it's coming right before the
Christmas.
holiday season.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
But what's interesting is it shows that they want to restructure $5 billion of the long-term debt on their balance sheets. And if I see it right, the company is saddled with debt from a $6.6 billion buyout in 2005. They have assets of $6.9 billion. What I find humorous about this is they have received a commitment for over $3 billion in debtor in possession financing from lenders, including a J.P. Morgan-led bank syndicate and certain existing lenders. So you have existing lenders, you have J.P. Morgan that committed to Toys R Us for $3 billion as they're going into bankruptcy, and that's to help them through the Christmas holiday. So, okay, they're trying to restructure $5 billion of long-term debt, and yet they received a commitment of $3 billion, so 5 plus 3, and so now they're in the tune of $8 billion in debt. So
yeah, that doesn't really sound like what I thought bankruptcy was.
It sounds like the United States government.
It does.
We're to the tune of $20+ trillion in debt, so hey, let's borrow some more so that we can pay our existing interest on the debt. And I think everybody knows that it doesn't fare well for companies. I mean, you have, it might work temporarily, and certainly it has worked for the United States government, but there's other things in play that keeps it going and so forth. But Toys R Us, they closed their big store in New York. It was a huge store that I saw, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, and opened a smaller, retail store down the street and so forth. But Toys R Us, you'd think that would be one company that, there's plenty of little kiddies running around in this country that needs toys.
So much is being done online now these days, whether it's Christmas shopping, birthday shopping, or just shopping, period. I don't know if that's affecting Toys R Us or what it is that's affecting them, but bad marketing or paying the tops too much, too top heavy. I don't know. But the timing was something that when I saw that, I thought, really, right before Christmas? When I'm sure their sales go up, from summer, I thought that was kind of
they're borrowing money in order to keep them through the holiday season, and so they can promise their suppliers that they'll get paid for their Barbie dolls and everything else. But I agree that I think it's online, but I think a lot of this is truly by design. I really do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't understand why Toys R Us couldn't be competitive online also. Why they couldn't be
do
competitive.
It online.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why they couldn't be competitive with Amazon online.
Do you order a lot online?
I order less and less. Okay. I kind of went through a phase, and then it's just to the point, I just don't need this stuff. So it's just my necessities that sometimes I can't get locally that I'll purchase online. But other than that, no.
I don't order a lot online. I never have. I guess and it's going to be a dying thing. It's, if I'm going to clothes shop, I want to go try it on. I don't really want to order it online, and I hate sending something back. Mm-hmm. And shoes, my feet are small, and things don't always fit me right, so I just don't order. I've only ordered shoes twice, I think, online, and I got lucky with them. But one was when I was in the local Dancing with the Stars, and I ordered some dancing shoes. I got them pretty darn cheap online. And another time was before one of my son's weddings. I saw a pair of shoes that I wanted to wear for his wedding online. So, but yeah, I don't order much online, so they can't blame me for that.
I think we have our Oscar online from North Carolina.
Oh, awesome.
We got many. I'm not sure which one came in first. Or who we have online. Who do we have in line? We have 2 calls.
We have Arthur first, it looks like.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, ladies. How are you? Hey, you brought up J.P. Morgan. You got me going now. J.P. Morgan was selling defective rifles to the Yankees. Did you know that? That wouldn't fire when they went into battle.
Now remember, Missouri's a southern state.
And you know what else they did? You know what else? And they even admit to this. They're laundering the drug money for the CIA that's coming out from the eastern seaboard from Afghanistan. Yeah. And they even admit to it. I told them on the phone, because we got a little bit of a credit card debt with those guys. And they give me a late payment, so I call them up and say, you guys got a lot of nerve. You guys are laundering the money for the drug coming in from Afghanistan. Like, yeah, we know that.
So are you trying to say, Arthur, that some of these toys bought at Christmas are going to be defective?
You never know. Yeah, you never know. But no, yeah, J.P. Morgan was a lowlife. What a scum. He was probably a
they got the money, don't they?
Yeah. But that's
all right.
Yeah, the bankers are destroying the world. I don't know why nobody sees this. I mean, people need to wake up.
I hear you. I get it.
Yep, the big bankers. Not your local banker on the corner, but the big bankers. They're the ones that...
I got problems with them, too. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
All right, Arthur, we appreciate the call. Thank you so much. We're going to go to Oscar in North Carolina. Oscar, how are you today?
Very good. Good morning, ladies. I hope you're doing
well. Good morning.
I got a couple of things that I got in mind. There's so much going on that it's so hard to put your thoughts together. But nonetheless, in regards to what's going on internally in our country, I feel like, I'm sorry to have to say this, but this is the way I feel. I feel like, the globalists got us in a big, humongous, gargantuous toilet, and the politicians in Washington have grabbed the whole of the chain, ready to pull it to flush us all down the tubes. And that's the way I feel about it. Because look what's going on with all this situation with the dreamers, with DACA and all that stuff. I've heard something actually I saw something on television the other day, and I'm going to say where, in the BBC, on PBS, that it froze my blood and infuriated me so much. I saw a young chick, a college chick, that she's a dreamer. Now you tell me how a dreamer is going to college, where she's getting the money. Of course, our government, they're giving grants and all kinds of stuff for them to go to college, learn how to be a good communist, and then talk about our president. She was talking about our president, the president of the United States, that he is wrong, that he don't have no legal hold on all this situation, and he shouldn't be doing what she's doing. Now, let me tell you something. If I went to Mexico and if I start running my mouth in a public square somewhere on television or anywhere publicly, I would be thrown in jail, and they would throw the key away in the bottom of the ocean and never release me out of jail. But in this country, it is like the song the Cole Porter wrote, oh, heavens knows, anything goes. So, this is incredible. I mean, we tolerate anything here. And not only that, they're allowing the illegals to vote they can vote because they're not illegal anymore. They're just only undocumented. And they obtain grants, they obtain housing, they obtain everything. It is time for the American people to wake up and put stop to this. And that's what these globalists are infuriated with the political situation here, because President Trump, he was elected. He was not posting there like all the others. And the American people spoke. Let us remind ourselves back to the 50s and the 60s after the war, when this country started flourishing and became an industrial giant. And the middle class had power and spoke up, and so the government had a fear of the middle class. So the middle class had to be destroyed. And what better way to destroy the middle class in this country as to take everything out of here, all the sources of work, everything, to bring down this country to its needs and have absolute control of it. So this is my thought about all these things that's going on today. And I appreciate so much your program, and thanks, Emil, for letting me talk.
Thank you, Arthur. I have an article here I was telling Melody about, and she's probably got it in front of her too. And it was the battle between Pelosi and the undocumented, the Dreamers that were there, and they were chanting and shouting, "Undocumented youth demand a clean bill." We undocumented youth demand a clean bill. We undocumented youth demand that you do not sell out our community and our values. We, the undocumented youth, will not be bargaining chips for Trump. And it was the chant was, "We, the undocumented youth." And I'm thinking, why aren't we the people doing these chants and yelling these things and demanding our constitutional rights and demanding our Bill of Rights and demanding truth and loyalty from I call them DC occupiers occupying offices and cutting deals? We, the people, need to be the ones making the demands.
Exactly.
The undocumented we're giving them mercy and being generous to them, and they're being demanding and ungrateful.
Am I still on the air?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Okay. The thing is this, all these protests and all these revolutionary comments that these people are doing, it's because they've been impulsed and financed from powers from outside, from people like, for instance, I have to say it, George Soros. He is a communist man that don't live in this country, and he's the one that's financing all these things. Absolutely, He's financing the Barack Obama's movement against the President of the United States and all these things, because he is a communist. He wants to destroy this country. And I don't care what the people think,
they want to restore. They want to destroy the republic. We always keep hearing this democracy word thrown around, and we're not a democracy.
Absolutely right.
And
I'll get off the air
like fingernails on a chalkboard to me. Thank you, Oscar. Appreciate it. I think okay. I was having a little difficult there with that phone line. I was having a little trouble hearing, but basically what Oscar was saying is exactly what I was trying to say. They're making demands, and they don't have the rights to make these demands. And if the American people don't wake up, we're going to be the ones sitting in the streets, not getting food, not having jobs, because that's the direction it's going. And maybe that's kind of an over-dramatization, but I'm not sure that it's too over-dramatized. What do you think, Melody?
We all know that it's divide and conquer, and that's what they're doing. It's all by design, and it's an agenda by the globalists, and the American people are sheeple. They fall asleep. They don't. They're not awake, and there's voices that are becoming a little bit louder. Maybe some people did awake and have an understanding, but there is still a strong pull to this agenda, and we can do what we do, and it's right. They should be appreciative that they've been able to be here and to be able to go to college and keep your mouth shut. Where's the respect? But respect, you have to be accountable. You have to be. There isn't any. And it all goes back to a lot with our religion, and people don't require anything. We're not all equals. We're equals, under the eyes of God. Yes, we are. But this morning I was watching, I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this. It was the 10-year anniversary for Morning Joe. But I did see that they had someone on there that I wanted to listen to, and it was Tony Blair. And, Tony Blair was the head guy over there in England.
Yes, he was.
And they were talking about, and we have a caller, and we'll get to Joe just as soon as I make this statement.
Hang on, Joe.
And he was talking about, he was asked a question about, they were talking about Brexit. And he said, well, we're looking, the world is a lot different than it was and, so forth. And he says, now you have the powerhouses of China, Russia, and India. And he says, England and the United States, the Western countries, really do need to remain together. And he goes on, he says, because there is a power. And I'm thinking he was going to start talking about the Muslims. The Sharia and the Muslims and so forth, that has infiltrated the countries. And he says the U.S. and England has to stick together. He says, and then you have Marine Le Pen. He wasn't talking about the Muslims and so forth. He was talking about Marine Le Pen, the dangers that she would bring to France. He was talking about the Donald Trumps. This was what he was referencing, that these people need, that these leaders...
Those outsiders.
Yes. These were the outsiders. These were the danger to the countries and to the world.
Well, they remembered what those colonists did a few years back.
Yes. Yes. Now we'll go
those outsider colonists.
Yes. Now we'll go to Joe from Arkansas. Good morning, Joe.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I wanted to put in my 2 cents on that question you were asking of why aren't we, the people, getting out in the streets and protesting and demanding what we want, the same as these illegal aliens. What?
Yeah, we have jobs.
Yeah, that's one reason. That's one reason. I think another reason is nobody's really organizing us to do it. There are some people trying to do something to organize people to give more support to the Trump agenda and something like that, like Tea Party and something like that. They're doing some good work, and God bless them for being there and doing what they're doing. But this is one of my big disappointments about Trump, is that he seems to have completely surrounded himself with people from the political establishment.
Yep.
Yeah, with globalists, with liberals, from people from the political establishment, and he's not really trying to do much to get the people, on his side and demonstrating a lot of support for him, and really getting
Joe,
the people active and in support.
Hang on, Joe. Yeah. Joe, hang on. We're going into a break. And Melody and Beth Ann and Joe will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. We were visiting with Joe from Arkansas when we went to the break, and we were all three discussing why we're not the ones chanting in the streets. We the people demanding truth, demanding our constitutional rights, and Joe was saying we lack organization. I'm going to let you take it from there, Joe.
Yeah, well, I think that Trump could do so much more to get his agenda through if he would get closer to the people, if he would go on the conservative talk radio shows, where the people that support him listen, and where the hosts, would be friendly to him and would help him get his message across more fully and and more strongly to the American people. And if he would have somebody in his administration that would be like an organizer that would, be in charge of getting the people active in support of him. And, if every time Trump wanted something like the wall or like repeal Obamacare, whatever it was that Trump wanted, or tax cuts, whatever it was on his agenda that Trump wanted, if he would really have somebody in his administration that would vigorously work on getting the people to call the Congress and congressmen and put pressure on Congress and, do things to push Congress to do what Trump wants them to and what the people want them to. If Trump would do more, organizing and keep his base and his voters, all his tens of millions of voters more active and putting pressure on Congress to get the Trump agenda through, then really I think if he would do that, then if he would use the power of the people, then Trump could get everything he wants.
I was thinking just this morning, and this is the gosh awful truth. As I was looking at and thinking about Laura Ingram's new show on Fox, and Hannity, the lineup that's there with Tucker and her and Hannity, and thinking about how they're being attacked by the left because they are in the limelight. People like Melody and Beth Ann and some of these others, that we're the little guys. We're like the little ones that can come from behind, and before they know it, we've got America back together because we've done the education. While the rest of them are getting entertained, we've been trying to pull the troops together. That was really going through my mind. I've been having this idea in my head, and unfortunately, it all takes money, and it's hard to come by when you're the little guy. And of circling the wagons, because that's what we are. We can come around and circle the wagons with shortwave, with the rural America stations, and circle the wagons, and before you know it, they're all sitting there watching the boob tube, as they called it years ago. And the rest of us, we've been out here rallying the troops, and we've got them ready to go. And next thing you know, they've all lost their elections because we've put in somebody else. And, it's said very simply, but that's kind of what's been going on in my head.
And I think a lot of where we can be more active and so forth is talking about local elections. People, you need to get on the phones.
Yes,
you talk
absolutely.
about rallying the people. It shouldn't be Mr. Trump rallying the people. It should be you. Each and every one of us should be rallying ourselves to be picking up that telephone and making those calls. Tell them, hey, bud, you're not going to get reelected if you don't do blah, 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 blah. You're not going to get reelected. Get them out of office. Get some of these long-termers out of the so there's a lot we can do. But who does it? We get so caught up in our lives because that's part of the design. It's part of what keeps us from doing a lot of these things.
Like we said, divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
And shiny.
The dangerous people aren't the ones.
Distractions.
Yeah, the dangerous people aren't the ones that, we see out there crying, and yelling that, you're not fair to me. Dangerous people in Hollywood, dangerous people aren't, the football players that go to their knees and so forth. The dangerous people are behind the scenes. We can all point fingers to Soros and so forth, but he's just a puppet too. He's just a puppet to something bigger.
Joe, thank you for your call. I appreciate it so much. Let me get the DC switchboard.
Let me say one more thing about this, please.
Okay, quickly.
Hello? Yeah, and maybe another part of the problem here is that people tend to be liberal and communistic and everything like this when they're young and they don't have a career yet and they have plenty of free time. They're students and this kind of thing. They have plenty of free time to get out and protest and, be politically active and organize and so on like that. And then when people mature and have a career and have a family and have to spend their time working for a living and taking care of their business and this kind of thing, and don't have so much time for politics and organizing and getting out and protesting, stuff like that, when they've gotten more mature and realistic and know what the real world is like more, that's when they're kind of older and not in so much of a position to get out and be politically active. So maybe that's another problem here.
That's probably it.
And you're right. But guess what? They don't want these kids to work. Look, they're conditioned in school. They come out of school. Parents are now responsible for health care for their children until they're, 26, 27?
Oh, good grief.
Guess what? I was responsible for my health care when I turned and I got out of high school. It was my responsibility. Insurance carriers wouldn't let my parents carry me on their health insurance. So now kids don't even have to work for their health insurance coverage until they're 26, 27 years old. What agenda do they have to even go to work? And he's absolutely correct. Once you go to work, you have a family, and all of a sudden you realize, well, shoot, I'm working, 50 hours a week, and I still can't make my ends meet. Why? Reality strikes. And I think that's why they keep these kids so immature for so long. Because they don't know any better.
They're useful idiots. Let me say one thing here, two things actually. The DC switchboard. Every listener should have that on their speed dial, right by your phone. 202-224-3121. Wear them out. 202-224-3121. And if you think these young people will change, they're not going to change. I understand what Joe was saying, and he's absolutely right. They have no life experience. But if you go back and remember, I know I'm a movie buff. If you go back and remember, but it was a true story about the Von Trapp family, The Sound of Music. The young man that was in love with the young girl ratted him out. He ratted him out. So, for their cause, for their cause for socialism, communism. And this is what's happening to our young people. They're being taken and they're being brainwashed. And we have got to start recognizing that and wake up to that fact that these colleges, quit sending these kids to these colleges. Send them to the small local colleges.
It isn't even just the colleges. It's the elementary schools. It's kindergarten.
Homeschool them.
It's kindergarten.
And it's a lack of activity at home. You can't expect them to teach the things you want them to know. It's not going to happen. So if you're not in a position where you can homeschool, you've at least got to nurture those children. You know, that boy that was mowing the yard at the White House, he's being brought up to be responsible and to work for a living, you know? And it's something that these college people that are out there rioting and complaining about this and that, and these undocumented aliens that think they aren't getting a fair shake when we've been more than generous to them. They get more than my children. I had a large family, a very, very low income. But we couldn't even get a Pell Grant for the boy to go to school, college. But these kids got it. You bet they've got taken care of. All right, I'm done now.
We'll keep going. We only have a minute or two left. I mean, there's so many problems we can target, and we can, you know, it's just, there's a lot. And my belief is we can't fix any of these problems until we fix our monetary policies, because that's the root of it all. You know, they've strapped us. You know, women have gone to work, and more power to women who have gone into the work cycle. I mean, here we are. I run my own company, but
I'm not sure if my company's running me or if I'm running it or if it's running me.
What were you doing when your children were at home?
I was a busy girl. But I also worked hard. Not the whole time. When the fifth one got to be 2 or so, 2.5, I kind of had to go to work. So I did then. I hear music.
Yes.
But I was free to choose. The music is the song Free. I was free to choose. And, you know, we still are free to choose, Melody. And we need to choose God, and we need to choose the constitutional republic. And we need to stand up for it.
Amen.
We'll be back tomorrow morning with some more power talk with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. And we'll see you then.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, It has been borrowed. It has been purchased. It has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.